Hey, we're back, and this time reviewing Marvel Collector Corps' current box, or latest box, which is X-Men, and I could not be more thrilled. X-Men is my favorite, so we're gonna dive right into this box. This is a look at the cover art here. Opening the box, we see our patch and our pin, which is consistent with every Collector Corps box. This time we have Storm and Magneto. Storm in her go-to crown, which we've seen off and on, old and new. Inside the box, we get our comic book, which is pretty common with these boxes. This is a variant cover edition, #1 of the Champions. We've got Cyclops on the cover here, and I really like it. It's a nice cover. It's Funko, so obviously it's going to be a Funko variant cover. But I would rather see something like unknown artists or up-and-coming artists doing some kind of Cyclops in a crazy rage sort of a thing, you know, something more unique like that. But, you know, it's Funko. They're going to do their own cover art. It makes sense. So that's okay, I suppose. Our next item is the shirt. We see these with each of the Collector Corps boxes. It's a school t-shirt patterned after Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. So it's very simple, but I like it. It's got dark capped sleeves, and at the neck it's otherwise just gray, which I feel like a lot of the shirts that we've seen in these boxes are gray. So I kind of wish they had a little bit more of a color variant or just the option to do so, but otherwise I don't mind it. I like it. It's simple and it's kind of a change from the normal pop tee or otherwise that we see, so I'm pleased with that. In the bottom of our box we see the last two items, and they are the two figures. The first one is Mystique. She's part of the Rock Candy line, which is an all-female line, and I'm not a huge fan of the Rock Candy line. I think they're supposed to be a little bit, you know, more attractive, but they're still sort of cartoony, so it just hasn't been my favorite thing so far. But Mystique is actually one that I like a little bit better than the others, and I think part of the reason for that is that her eyes are just one solid color instead of painted in there like all the other Rock Candy figures have been. I also like the stance that they put her in. She's got one hand up holding a gun, the other one is held down in this very comic book sort of a stance, and I really like that. Even the way that she's standing is sort of this, you know, attitude-y, sassy Mystique sort of thing. So, I mean, altogether, I really like how they did her figure. What I don't like, as with most of the Funko figures, is the painting job. It's very common for them to be sort of outside of the lines and not done super well in parts, and that's just really unfortunate. I mean, they're not the most expensive toys, so it makes sense that they're a little bit cheaply done, but it's just, I wish they would put a little bit more effort into it. Also, this gun that she's holding is a little weird. It's not, it's, I don't know, sort of Star Wars-y or something. I'm not sure what that is, but a little bit more detailing, even some more color or shading would have been nice. I like the skull belt around her waist. I thought they did a very good job of that. Again, this is a bobblehead. We see that with pretty much all of the Marvel figures. As I understand it, Funko, with their licensing, they have to do bobblehead figures for the Marvel stuff. And the other thing I really like about this character is that they have her in her 90s costume, instead of what we see in the movies. And here she is with her stand. All the Rock Candy figures come with their own stand, and what I like about this one is that it is very flush. Her feet are flush with the stand, and that's something that we don't always see. So that's really nice, and I appreciate that. So overall, I really like this character. I think somebody else like Rogue or Jean Grey or one of the less common or underrepresented characters would have been a much better choice, especially because we see that there's a Mystique in the Mystery Minis line already. There's also a Storm in there. So one of the less common females, I think, would have been appreciated by a lot of X-Men fans out there. The last item we see in the box is, of course, our Pop figure. This is the Pop Rides line. It's Wolverine's motorcycle. It's Wolverine kind of in his Logan streetwear. We also see the other characters in this collection. And this is a really neat figure. I like the detailing they put into this one. It shows a lot of, like, dirt and mud on the bike. He's got a fairly neat stance that he's in, and I feel like they do put a little bit more attention into their pops than they do in some of the others. One of the funny details on this one was the X-Men license plate, which I don't think Logan would actually do himself, but it's funny for a figurine. I like that. I thought it was neat, but you can see it here is another example of just poor quality in these toys. One of the headlights is fully painted, the other one not so much, and even the one's not done very well. It's very common on these figures to see kind of chips in the paint or splotches in places where they don't belong, and that's kind of disappointing. But then they'll go through and they'll put detailing like they have on this with the mud and stuff. So I mean, they're kind of inconsistent, I feel like. And again, just kind of cheap looking. I mean, they're not built of really high quality stuff. I don't think it takes them a lot to produce them. So, you know, it makes sense, but for as popular as these figures are, I do wish they had put a little bit more into it than they do. You can see the gas tank here, more detailing in the motorcycle. The front wheel of this figure actually sits off the ground with the kickstand down. I think that they really couldn't do it much of another way without the figure falling over, obviously, but I think it looks a little bit weird. I don't know what you guys think of that, but you know, at least it stands up of its own accord, so that's nice. I like that they put the lettering on the backpack or the sleeping bag, because that kind of makes sense, a good place for it to belong. I like that they put the silver in his hair, some detailing there, but again, you can see some of the defects around his facial hair with the painting and such. He's, again, a bobblehead, but overall, just a really nice figure. He's really neat, so I think if you're an X-Men fan, especially if you're a Pop fan, you'll really enjoy this figure. That's our last figure in the box, so that's everything. We've got our patch pin comic book shirt and the 2 figurines, and I think if you are a Marvel fan, you will just really like this box. Despite, you know, the little flaws and things, I think overall it's a lot of fun, so I enjoyed it. X-Men, again, is my favorite, so maybe I'm biased, but this has definitely been one of my more favorite boxes out there, but let me know what you guys think. Next time will be Superhero Showdowns. That's our next collector core. We'll see that in February. It is a bi-monthly subscription box service, again, from Funko. So we'll post another video at that time when we get those in, and that's everything. It's good to be back. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.